always been motivated by nightmares, not dreams. One of the things I would always do with my kids driving to the grocery store, we would count every single amount of money in my purse down to the change. And they're like,
wow.
Math again. And I'm like, no, this is so we know how much we can spend at the grocery store. How is it legal for someone else to impose a sentence on you that, number one, you didn't opt into, the additional time, I didn't opt into that. And number two, they have no legal justification to do so because you satisfied the requirements of the sentence that you did.
Dr. V. Boykin is a collaborative leader who designs impactful learning and development programs, uncovers new revenue opportunities, and builds high-performing, inclusive teams while aligning organizations to their biggest goals.
Someone who's listening in right now to us talking and say, I can't be Dr. V, I can't do what she does and go get 4 degrees in my 40s. What advice would you give them?
What I would say is, like, the time is going to pass anyway. 4 years is going to pass anyways. Do you want a degree after that 4 years or not? It's really that simple. Just like spell check and grammar check and wonderful application Grammarly didn't fix terrible writers, AI is not going to fix terrible thinkers.
Hey everyone out there, my name is Alan, CEO of freecasual.io, and welcome to Profit Powerhouse, the podcast where we sit down with inspiring entrepreneurs, business leaders to uncover the secrets behind their success. We're here to learn what drives their growth, the challenges they overcome, and how they master their finances. Our goal, to help you achieve the same success while maximizing your profit. Let's dive in. Today's guest is a force of nature, raw, real, and relentlessly unapologetic. She's a woman that defies every stereotype and rewrites every rule. Stripper, felon, author, doctor, equity expert, thought leader, meet Dr. V, a powerhouse who earned 4 degrees in her 40s and isn't just breaking glass ceilings, she's bulldozing through them. A system that has failed women far too long. From food stamps to PhDs, from surviving the system to transforming it, Dr. V has lived the stories most people are too afraid to tell. And now she uses her voice to expose the truth about the destruction of women in the workplace. She doesn't just sugarcoat it, she doesn't sidestep, she tells it like it is, and the world is better for it. If you're ready for a conversation that's raw, radical, and rooted in real change, you're in the right place. Buckle up and lean in. Dr. V. Boykin is in the building. Dr. V, welcome to the show.
What an introduction. Can you follow me around and just say that every time I enter a room? That sounds...
I would love to. I'd love to. Give me that chance. Yeah, so Dr. V, for those who don't know much about you, can you just give an intro in your own words about your background? What inspired you to be where you are today?
You know, I've always said I'm not confident enough to fail, even though I've mastered failing. So I'm a person that just has to touch the hot stove. And I've always been that way. And I don't seem to learn lessons unless I live it. And so in my life, I was all the way into my 40s and I did not have a degree. I had a child when I was supposed to be in college, literally was supposed to be in class, and I've been married 4 times. And I've had lots of different dynamics within those relationships. I've also owned a business for 10 years where I specialized in aggression and adjustment disorders for canines. And it was a teaching facility. So from there, it just really solidified my love of education, educating others, being a safe place to learn and fail and do better. So I decided to commit a felony and become a stripper and get on food stamps and then come out and expect to have a job, or at least after 20 years, expect to be able to get a job without any problems, and realized that was not the case. So I got 4 degrees and wrote a couple books, and here I am.
Incredible. I would love for the next guest to try to beat that story there. Right?
I hope they don't. I hope they live a much simpler life.
Yeah, and it sounds like there's just tons of struggles and ups and downs all throughout your life. Is there a pivotal moment that you can name in the past that really kind of triggers the change, right? The overnight change in you?
You know, I've always been motivated by nightmares, not dreams. And so for me, there's been multiple different pivots. You know, I became a stripper because I needed a job where I could take off when my kids were sick, put them on the bus in the morning, get them off, and make a good living where I was in control. I had the privilege of not being like addicted to drugs or alcohol. I just didn't have a problem doing the service that the stripper does totally sober, which made me much more effective. And I was also a lot older than most people that go into the industry, at least starting off. So that was a pivot. I think another pivot would be, I looked around and I saw all of these canines, dogs, being told to sit. And I'm like, what difference does it actually make if your dog's butt is on the ground or not? It really makes no difference. The reason that humans do this activity is because we want to assert control. And I'm like, there's a better relationship to have here. So I set up a behavior-based kennel and got all the certifications. The next pivot would be, when I decided to go into sales, I went into sales. I worked at Groupon. I mean, a grind,
Oh,
200 dials a day, and telling people that they should take 25 cents on a dollar. Like it wasn't the easiest job, but I really excelled. Not as a salesperson. I'm a good chairperson, not sales. And then I think that watching my marriage unravel, especially around the time of the Kavanaugh inquiries, and realizing that I wanted to be in a position where I wasn't dependent on a partner to rent a house, which you can't do when you're a felon, rent an apartment, which
right.
you can't do when you're a felon.
Hmm.
Just be able to live. I knew I needed to do more. So the nightmare was I would have to stay in the relationship I was in or find one pretty similar, which was the next pivot into education.
Incredible. Dr. V, I mean, your journey is just unheard of, right? On the podcast. I just want to say that. I just want to applaud you for even making it this far. It's like, so from food stamps to getting a PhD, like what financial lessons do you think like poverty kind of teach you that no business school could ever do?
Oh, okay. So, one of the things I would always do with my kids driving to the grocery store, they thought it was a math lesson, and we would count every single amount of money in my purse down to the change. And they're like, oh,
Wow.
math again. And I'm like, no, this is so we know how much we can spend at the grocery store. I didn't
Yeah,
tell them that
budget.
until they were like adults, right? But I think what I actually learned is you just need one more day. And, I know what it's like when the lights are turned off and you're telling your kids you're camping because you have candles, because you needed one more day to pay the bill. And what I really learned is that, there's this saying that nothing tastes as good as thin feels. But I think the actual more accurate saying is nothing makes you look as good as money in the bank. Not the designer bag, not the jewelry, not the shirt, not the pants, not the shoes, not all of these things that we do to artificially make ourselves feel good. And I'm guilty to this day. But that bag does not feel as good when you pick it up as it does when you have the amount of money you spent on the bag in the bank. And that's a lesson it took me a long time to learn, and one I'm firmly rooted in. And then there's a second one, and that would be the power of federal student aid. Because for my situation, I was in a very disparate economic relationship. My husband at the time and I did not share finances. We did not share much of anything. And having to ask and beg him for money so I could go back to school was the worst feeling in the world. Taking out a loan from your husband, or your spouse, I don't know that anyone should ever have to feel that. And what I didn't realize at the time is I could have actually gone and gotten financial aid. I actually could have. There was a way as a felon who was still rebuilding credit that I could have gotten my own loan to go to school. And I wish I would have realized that, because I think it would have sped me up by maybe 3-4 years.
I see. And Dr. V, I'm sure you have a lot to speak on this issue too. But how do you feel about the current, I guess, financial barrier that exists for women with record, right? Do you think the system is fair? Do they not give enough chances, right, for people who want to change and get better, right? Can you educate the audience a little bit more on that? I'm sure you have done tons of research in this part.
Yeah. So here's the deal. I actually wasn't sentenced to life.
Okay.
I was sentenced to 2 3-year stacked sentences, which means 3 years that sit on top of each other. So you have to do the equivalent of one singular 3-year sentence. At first, I was actually sentenced to 2 stacked 10-year sentences. I'm like, I've only had a speeding ticket in my life. Oh my gosh, I rubber stamped expense reports. Please don't make this happen.
Yeah.
But I had a 3-year sentence. This was in 2004 when I came home after serving I think it was about 8 months. We're 21 years later. Anyone want to explain to me why I'm still facing consequences when I was only sentenced to 3 years? I don't need a chance. I just need an equitable imposement of my sentence.
Yes, a statute of limitation even, right?
I'll take any of it. So back then there's better laws now. You can go back only 7 years or 10 years unless it's over X amount of dollars. And then it's further, and actively looking at what state I can live in order to also still earn a living. But I would just be okay with 3 years of really hard life. But that's not what I got. I got 20 years. So why is it that there's still apartments I can't rent in Scottsdale because there's a law in the books? Why is it that even though I can pass any background check that I've come in contact with for positions that I apply for that are plus 6 figures, Why is it that I pass the background check and I say, hey, by the way, I mentioned this on my platform a lot. You should know I have a record. All of a sudden the job disappears, but I passed your background check. How is it legal for someone else to impose a sentence on you that, number one, you didn't opt into, the additional time, I didn't opt into that. And number two, they have no legal justification to do so because you satisfied the requirements of the sentence that you did.
It doesn't make sense.
Now, I will say, I have biased against crimes against women and children. But even through that lens, you shouldn't be able to assign me more punishment than the judge did, because that's how America works or should work, in my opinion.
Yeah, it doesn't seem fair in any aspects, right? It's like, how can someone start over after receiving fair punishment if they're being punished for life, if they're not sentenced for life, right? Exactly what you said, right? But that's the system right now. And it's great to see it from your lenses.
Yeah, and the challenge is, you know how you get your first job. You apply to a company that doesn't do background checks. That's how I ended up with a plastic grocery bag around my hand picking up dog poop in North Carolina. Literally, because he was too cheap to buy pooper scoopers. That's how you end up working in places that don't treat you as well. And that's where your connections come in. But if you're a part of a marginalized community, Black, Indigenous, person of color, or a woman, or a member of the LGBTQ plus community, or anything that isn't exactly what someone else wants you to be, you may not have a friend that works at an impressive company that can give you a referral to get you through the door. That makes them look the other way. Sales is one of the few industries that doesn't do as many background checks. But guess what? I can't work in healthcare. I can't work in government, state or federal. Yeah. I mean, I can't work in banking. I can't work in fintech, anything financial tech. I can't even answer the phone and bring you a cup of coffee at an accounting firm. And I'm a doctor. I've got a bachelor's, master's, MBA, and doctor of business administration. I can't even bring you a cup of coffee at a bank.
Crazy, isn't it?
It's limiting. And how does that feel fair? Like, where are you supposed to work? You don't want me on welfare. I don't want to be on welfare. You don't want me being a gold digger, although if you're buying and I'm selling, I'm not sure how anybody's digging. But when I came out, I couldn't get a job at a gas station.
Gas station.
Couldn't get a job. Shell gas station. And not even in a nice neighborhood. It wasn't even a clean gas station. It was a Shell gas station though. I mean, I checked the box. Yes, I have been convicted of a felony. That was it.
They actually don't even care what's behind that box, right? What actually did you commit? Was it violent crime, financial related? What is it that you did, right? They should really have a box, 5 boxes under that 1 box, right? But they don't.
They don't. And to this day, if I check yes, there's still jobs I can't have. And you want me to work for you. You really do.
Yeah, no, definitely. You've seen so much, right? And Dr. B, I actually really want to pivot to, like, it's actually incredible to me that you're able to still, despite all these challenges, and there's so many of them, as you already named, you're able to build a business and brand that you're really passionate about, that draws from your life experiences, right? How do you make it profitable? How do you make it profitable while diluting the message, I guess is really my question, right? Because I think a lot of people out there want to do that. They want to be authentic. They want to be true to themselves. But what they come across is like, is it going to be profitable? Is it going to be worth the chase? Am I going to be true to myself? Am I going to be a sellout, right? And like, sorry if that's a little offensive, but
no.
that's a true question in the business world.
I don't think it's offensive at all. What I was thinking is, how many people are working for bosses that don't deserve them? How many people are working for companies they don't align with? How many people are compromising on a day-to-day when you watch that coworker who you know is not more talented, but happened to get to go over to the boss's house and have wine and you weren't invited? Like, you compromise yourself all the time, and you do it because it's profitable. What's the difference between doing it for yourself versus doing it for someone else? The only difference is when you're disappointed in your boss, the boss is you. And so when you think about making it profitable, I think there's a couple things you need to realize, because when I had a kennel, a behavior-based kennel that was open 365 days a year, and there was something alive in it 24 hours a day. So it was, from a staffing standpoint, it's exhausting. And the first year I was broke. So it was me and my children violating child labor laws. I'll deny that, but they won't, right? And that was my staff. And so that's a year of working. I mean, I remember when I got a car at one of those chop lots for like 32% interest rate. and I didn't have enough time to go and even pick up the car because I had to be back to open the kennel. We only closed, an hour at lunch. And so I think when you think about how it's going to be profitable, what do you mean by profitable? Do you mean profitable because you can sleep well at night because you are putting out what matters to you and you're making a difference? Do you mean profitable because it actually puts money in the bank? Any time you put money in the bank, you make a compromise anytime. Because whatever you're doing, there's probably just a little bit of a different way you'd like to do it. Maybe you'd like me to be in person. Maybe you'd like me to answer differently. Maybe you'd like me to be more succinct. There's always a compromise once money is introduced. And so I'm not being compensated for this podcast, by the way, just to be clear. What you need to decide is what does matter to you and what doesn't. My nightmares keep me up at night. I can sleep through my dreams. And so for me, when you talk about what's profitable and how you make that profitable, a really tough area for me is I want to give away all mentorship and coaching for free, always. When I had my kennel business, I wanted to barter with the clothing store owner. I didn't want to take I would live in a barter society. So the fix for that is you say, okay, I can't give everything away for free, but I can donate 30 hours, 20 hours, 100 hours, whatever your amount of time is that you can donate, that's what you do. And then you charge for the rest. And there is nothing wrong and there is nothing unsavory about being compensated for your worth, period.
Absolutely. Absolutely agree with that. Dr. V, I would love to hear some of your marketing strategies that goes into your brand and business, right? What do you use out there? Is it the common stuff that we all hear about, social media, marketing, word of mouth, thought leadership seminars? What is it that comprise what makes you where you are today on the marketing side of the world?
I just tell the truth. I just tell the truth every place I go. And it's not, I don't care what forum it's in, whether it's a live stage, whether it's a LinkedIn post, whether it's YouTube, which I still haven't figured out. I mean, I don't understand who watches. I have no clue. But the thing that allows me to cut through the noise, regardless of where I'm trying to be heard, is the truth. I'm just brave enough to tell all of mine. But that means somebody else doesn't have to. If I say you're not treating felons fairly, someone else doesn't have to reveal they're a felon to everyone. If you hire me and I do a great job in spite of the fact, usually in spite of the fact, not always, but in spite of the fact I'm a felon, it makes it easier for you to hire one more. If I say I was sentenced wrongly and it's been 20 years, I have a bit more cover than somebody that might still be on paper, on parole. I don't know if it matters so much your platform as it matters what your presentation is. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely, right? Because a lot of time people try to, hide behind envelopes, if you will, right? They try to cover themselves in different layers so that they don't have to say the whole truth. But for you, it's just raw, right? Like I'm just gonna say why I am, what I've gone through, every single step, and there's nothing to hide, which is very powerful in its own way.
Thank you for that. I would also say I was well into my 40s. I think I was 48 years old before I told the truth, and I'm 51 now. So I haven't always told the truth, and I've outright lied. I have. The nightmare is that somebody else is out there doing it, and I could make it better for them.
Yeah, and Dr. V, I think another question that comes to mind is like, I know you seem like you got all your higher education in your 40s, and a lot of time people are like, it's too late. It's too late for me to go back. I'm ready. I have kids. I have a husband, and and I always dream of going to be a nurse. Or I always dream of being a vet or any other career, right? They just think it's too late because of an age issue, and you seem to broke that barrier. Would you tell them it's worth it? Would you tell them the return on investment is there, right? Even though you did it in your 40s and your 50s now.
Yeah.
What advice do you want to give to folks that are in a situation where maybe they missed their dream the first time around when people normally do it, right? Which is in their 20s usually, right? But
so I've heard.
It seems like yeah, so I heard.
I'm not familiar,
now it's like,
but so
hey,
I've heard.
Age is just a number.
No, age
matter.
is real.
Like, 40 is the new 20 to me,
My surgeries say age is real. What I would say is, look, the time is going to pass anyways. 4 years is going to pass anyways. Do you want a degree after that 4 years or not? It's really that simple. It's really that simple. And when you think in terms of ROI, I went back to school because I had put so many things in the negative column. So many things. I had children by 2 different men. And then I always say, but I was married to them. I mean, maybe not ahead of time, but after, like, it really matters. I had been a stripper. I had been a felon. I had been on food stamps. I'd been on WIC. So what I would say is I just wanted to even up the columns. I wanted my grandmother, who was no longer with us, to say, job well done. I didn't want to make it more difficult for Black, Indigenous people of color or women because I had added to that statistic. So why you go to school matters. And then once I realized, oh gosh, the worst thing that can happen if you go back to school is you remember how smart you are. And there's no better feeling than remembering and quantifying how intelligent you are. I don't know more because I went to school, but I know more because I went to school. If you were going to go back to school and incur a ton of student debt Should you do that
Exactly.
in your 20s or should you do that when you're about to check out? It's just a question.
It's a very fair question though, right? Like, would you want that, right? Like, say you want to go to like a Harvard or Stanford and what, that's like 300K at
Yes.
least in
Yeah.
loans. On the flip side, it is exactly what you said. Like, it is a measure of how smart you are, but you never got to show it,
Yeah. And
right?
I would flip the question and also say, like, how much would you pay to do what you really wanted to do for one day? What you really dreamed of doing, what you were passionate about? What would you be willing to pay?
That's a great question. I have never thought of it that way, honestly. I don't know if there's a number, right?
Exactly.
I
So
feel like I would pay a lot
yeah, you
to
would.
make it happen.
Yeah. So is it too late to go back to school if that allows you to do the thing you wanted to do? Is it too late to graduate as a nurse if you get to work one day and that's what you wanted to do? Is it too late to go back to school? Because every time I am called doctor, those student loans were worth it. Every time
No,
I write a
absolutely.
book,
Absolutely.
I write
No, that's a great way to ask. And I think
Yeah.
it's also a good test of, were you really passionate about it or you just been saying it since you've been growing up, right?
Yeah.
Because if the answer is, oh, I'm not willing to pay that much, then there it is. You shouldn't go do that grind, right? Because it's not easy, right? It's still a
not
time
easy.
and it's a huge commitment, right? To do that, right? To go back to student life, right? To study, right? To not scroll on your phone endlessly. No, that's a great point. That's a great point, Dr. V.
I would love to know. So what was everyone else doing during COVID? I mean, did we not all go back and get 1 million degrees? What else were you doing besides ordering DoorDash? Hoping somebody put
a
the
lot of
music on.
online shopping,
Okay,
right? Because that was
there you
that
go.
was the boom of online shopping in that era, right? Like everything moved online.
During COVID, I learned very quickly during COVID that the crystal art was not for me. Like the little beads. Every time. Let me give you a better edit. Every time I write a book and I tell the truth about those that treated me so bad, worth it. Because what allowed me to write this book is this right here. The doctor's title.
Absolutely.
Worth every penny.
Every single one.
If you think like gossiping about them or doing some veiled like Instagram post is the scene, write a book about how they treated you and tell the truth.
That's forever right there.
Debt paid.
Right? Yeah, absolutely. Speaking of trends, Dr. V, I would love to get your take on AI, right? AI is kind of taking over, especially this last few years. How do you think it impacts some of the things you're doing in your business and just how you think AI can impact the work of women in the workplace?
Well, I think that number one, it's going to elevate the work of women in the workplace. I mean, if we are not putting together agendas or summarizing meeting minutes or taking notes because we don't have to anymore, that's a nice exit from the menial tasks that women are assigned on a higher percentage than men. So there's that. The second thing is if I can come up with an incredible body of work and pop it into an AI bot and say, summarize this in 4 bullets, and then go switch over the laundry, I've gotten time back that I was not equitably distributed that workload. So that's the second area. The third thing I would say is I remember when spell check came out, and for people like me that never learned phonics, how it changed the game. Now, other people, especially those that worked in the secretarial pool, were like, this is my bread and butter. We will innovate. We will change. It'll be okay. I no longer use whiteout when I type. We're going to make it through this.
Yeah, no more typewriters.
What I also think is companies are over-rotating on it. They think that it is going to solve everything. And just like spell check and grammar check and wonderful application Grammarly didn't fix terrible writers, AI is not going to fix terrible thinkers. AI creates a copy. So if I give you a picture of a cat, AI is going to iterate until it collapses in on itself. You will always need a person to take a fresh, brand new picture of a cat. So I think we're going to be okay.
Yeah, original work's still going to be celebrated, right? Where is these AI bots going to pull from, right? If all original work, it is going to pull from themselves. Everything is going to be AI pulling from AI, which then you have nothing else.
Yeah.
Literally nothing else left. Let's go to one more fun question, Dr. V, and then we're going to go to the financial management side of everything and more serious side. So if you say a $10 million packet just dropped from the sky and you open it and there's $10 million in crisp cash inside that box, right? And you're saying, this is it. This is the money I always wanted and dream of to support women, right, at the margin of business. What would you do with it? And why would it work better than most current DEI programs?
Yeah. Number one, I would call the police and the feds and turn it in, because anytime money drops from the sky, I'm going to prison.
Okay, say you won't get in trouble. You won't get in trouble for it. Yeah, yeah.
Things I've learned the hard way.
Like there's no way, it's undetectable, and there's no way you get in trouble for it. It's your money.
Yeah, I would actually give women point solutions, and it would take a large staff in order to do it. But the person that wants to go back to school, that can tell me why they want to go back to school, I would give them the money to go back to school. The person that needed daycare funds, I would give them the money to go to daycare. So if I only got to put 5 million actually in people's pocket, because it took 5 million to operationalize it, it would still be more impactful. Because the truth of the matter is here's what happens. In summary, I want a bridge program. So you get on food stamps, you get food, you're feeling better, you have the energy to go back to work. And then as soon as you do, you lose your food stamps and you don't have enough food to eat. So then you're lying and working under the table. And anytime you work under the table, people take advantage of you. Or you get a job and it's great, and you start your first day and your kid gets sick. And so you miss the first 3 days of your first week, and you miss 2 days of your second week, and then you don't have a job anymore. And sick daycare is hard to find and hard to come by and extremely expensive. So it's not that people want to take advantage of any system. It's that they have no choice because of how the system's set up. Why doesn't everybody get 5 years of you can have food stamps for 5 years no matter what you do, and actually allow somebody to get back on their feet, solidly back on their feet. If you're in Section 8 housing and you get a job and you start earning money, you can stay in that housing, that rent-controlled housing, for 3 years. So you're actually building up savings. Because I promise you, humans are not a bunch of irresponsible people. We want to make the decisions that are best for us, and we will make those decisions within a system that doesn't work for us, and we will do whatever is necessary to survive. I've been watching The Walking Dead. We'll do anything to survive.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, especially facing a zombie apocalypse. Cool, Dr. B. So part of the podcast is we want to know what makes your business tick for the long term, right? What makes it grow? What makes it sustain? So we asked about the financial management side of your business. What would you say is, how do you approach that, right? How do you approach the financial side of your business? How do you make sure that side stays clean and consistent and long term?
Yeah, I have a really good accountant. It's critical.
Nice. Good start.
Because with my first business, I had a good accountant, but I didn't listen. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I don't subscribe to it takes money to make money in the way most people do, right? So I try and be very much a realist. For example, your book doesn't make you money. Books don't make you money. Not me. Those are vehicles that get you to things that do make money. So you have to really have a good understanding of what is your lead generation tool. Is it a podcast? Is it appearing on other people's You want to talk about fiscal responsibility? It's a lot less expensive for me to be on your podcast than for me to start my own. Thank you so much.
It's true.
Right? Yeah. It's a lot easier for me to say yes to speaking on a large stage for free if I can quantify how many leads I'm going to get from that experience. So you need to be very clear, and you don't have to do it all on the front end. It'd be nice if you can, but typically visionaries and business structure, it's a very hard mix. You need to be very clear about, okay, what's going to bring people in, what's going to push people through the funnel, and then what are going to be the things where I must and want to make money. And those should be 3 pretty different categories. The more distinct those categories, the more targeted you can be in terms of achieving the success that you've outlined, or what success is.
That's incredible, Dr. B. Sounds like you have great grasp on margins, right? A lot of businesses, they only look at top line. They don't understand how much expenses, marketing expense and things that go into making that top line. And they end up saying, why do I make less money than my 9-to-5 job? Why did I put in 20 hours as an entrepreneur and I'm at negative in my bank account, right? And that happens all the time because they don't do a good job of managing the books, right? Looking at their tax situation. That's the other thing that I was going to touch on, right? They don't understand that Uncle Sam comes calling every year, right? Yeah. Right? And it's clockwork, but then people they think they can just spend it and they're like, oh yeah, it's gone, right? But that's not how it works. He's always there. What advice would you give to other business owners or people who want to start their own thing out there when it comes to kind of what is a good point for them to outsource versus just doing it all themselves? Is there a revenue threshold? Is there a time threshold in the game?
I would say you outsource anything and everything that you are not great at. And you definitely outsource things that you are not good at that will land you in legal trouble. Always do not do your own LLC. Okay, go ahead. I know there's templates.
The IRS don't play. Yeah.
Anytime I hear someone that is interested in dating men say there's no good men out there, they're not reliable. Oh, Uncle Sam is. He's shown up. He's going to be there for you.
He's there every year.
I would say also think globally. A lot of times when you think about outsourcing, you're thinking about who in your circle do you know that you could get a virtual assistant from, maybe not in America. Mm-hmm. Do something that's cost effective for you. Because for me, I very much see the world as a global economy. I'm not a separatist. So if I can hire someone from Fiverr to help me edit a video that's very important to me and do the rest on my own, that makes sense. Outsource everything. And then I would say every 60 days, whatever you're spending money on, if it's not making a return, it's not a good place to spend money. Of course, not the stock market. That's different. But, I paid for YouTube videos for a very long time. They looked really, really good. What difference does it make if they're not monetized? What difference does it make? I'd rather just walk you around my house with no makeup on and my hair up in a clip and we'll call it a day. I'm saying the same thing. So, but it took me 6 to 8 months to really realize that's not the right place to spend money.
That's absolutely right. Like global arbitrage, you take advantage of that, right? You're just paying someone here. You can probably pay for 3 to 4 folks in another part of the world, because for them, you're paying them above living wage for where they are, right?
That's right.
And they're more than happy to do the work, right? Just in their own time zone and everything like that. But
incredible work, incredible quality. And I mean, if you ever want to feel good about yourself, like if you ever want to go on an ego trip, change someone's life by paying them double what they would make, even though it's no sweat to you. Mm-hmm. When you see a global economy, the wages, the money that you spend goes so much further. And the person on the other side of the world, for me, their kids need to eat too. They want clean water. They want to live in clean homes. They want a bigger house. They want designer shoes, whatever it is they want. It's none of my business. But I'm very happy to support it.
Absolutely. Great. Dr. V, so what's next, right, for you and your business? Any exciting plans or project on the horizon?
Yeah, I have another book coming out. It's kind of unapologetically disruptive, hard lesson, simple truth. It goes a little further into my story. I talk more about my incarceration. I talk more about my stripping. I go into detail more on my relationships. But between Fix Your Face and Watch Your Tone, Women Know What's Needed, and Unapologetically Disruptive, as shocking as most people find both of those bodies of work, I haven't even told half the story. So what's next? More truth telling.
So we're talking about a trilogy at least, huh?
Absolutely. And for all of y'all that have wronged me, you should probably be nervous. I'm going to tell it.
Another one coming.
Yes.
And as a final question to the podcast, we always ask for a final advice from our podcast guests, right? If you can give one piece of advice to someone just starting their entrepreneurial journey, right? Someone who's listening in right now to us talking and say, I can't be Dr. V. I can't do what she does and go get 4 degrees in my 40s. What advice would you give them, right? 1, 2, 3 simple steps to get them going, get them started. And because that's always the hardest. First step.
Number 1, stop lying to yourself that you need to be Dr. V or that you can't get whatever it is. Obviously you can. If I can be a felon and a stripper and literally get child support cut off from underneath me and still have to pay rent to my husband at the time. But in summary, stop lying to yourself and get honest. And the honest thing is the time is going to pass. What do you want it to look like on the other side? And the third thing would be find out what truly motivates you. Everybody likes to say they had a dream. That may not be true for you. It might be a nightmare. Whatever it is, whatever keeps you up at night, solve that problem first. Solve the problem that keeps you up at night first, because it's too hard if it doesn't matter to you. Work on what matters. So tell the truth, work on what matters.
What motivates you? Yeah. And really stop lying to yourself, because if Dr. V can do it, right, given all the struggles that she went into, what excuses do you have? Especially after listening to this podcast. So that was fantastic, Dr. V. It was very highly entertaining and way more insightful than I could ever dream of. I would love to share with the audience right now a really awesome and generous giveaway that you have here. Would you like to share with the audience what that is?
Oh, yeah. So both of my books, Fix Your Face and Watch Your Tone, Women Know What's Needed, and Unapologetically Disruptive, Hard Lessons, Simple Truths, are meant to help those that are marginalized, as well as help inform those who could help those that are marginalized. So let's do a giveaway, a book giveaway. I've got 5 copies of Fix Your Face, Watch Your Tone. I've got 5 copies of Unapologetically Disruptive, which will be out soon. Let's give those away to your listeners, a total of 10, 5 and 5.
Wow. Okay, that was doubly as generous as we talked about at the beginning of the show, Dr. V. I just want you guys all know that she's in a great mood. So I'll definitely link in our show note below. We have 5 copies of each book. First 5 listeners, first dibs. And yeah, it's been wonderful having you on, Dr. V. I really hope in a year's time, when our podcasts grow a little bit, you can come and revisit us, and maybe at that time we'll be discussing your 3rd book. How does that sound?
That sounds fantastic. And I hope by that time you're making so much money, you're paying me goo gobs and I'm paying you goo gobs to be on it. We can all rise together. Thank you so much.
We'll have some ad spots of and everything. So it'll be amazing. You can help us promote those. Thank you so much for being on, Dr. V. And for those of you listening out there, peace out.